We got a big battle in front of us, baby. And it's just starting. So let's get funky like a monkey. For 16 years, the American dream has done it with you. Don't fail me now. Lord, don't fail me now.
All right. The Wrestlebros are back. How you doing, Lou? Captain Lou, Vic Blaze. I guess we got to talk about these WWE releases. Or Black Thursday.
Black Thursday.
And since we're going to talk about Black Thursday, we might as well talk about last year's. Was it also Black Thursday last year?
I don't know what day April 15th fell on last year. I'm presuming it was a Wednesday or... Not sure.
Wednesday?
Whatever date
it was the 15th?
Whatever date April 15th, 2020 landed, that was the day all the people got released. And this year on April 15th, 2021, more people got released.
So the important thing is April 15th. I see it. That's nice.
April 15th is usually tax day. You know, WWE.
Let's get them out of here.
We just removed the T from tax. It's Axe Day.
All right, let's turn a negative into a positive. Let's do some fantasy GMing.
My favorite thing in the world to
let's
do.
Try to find
brother.
homes. I'm sure we're gonna have difference of opinion on where we want these people to go.
Sure.
So, all right, let's just go down the list. We'll do last year too. A lot of those people found homes, but some of them haven't. Or, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
All right, so this year, let me just name the names that I have, and you tell me if I'm missing anyone.
Sure.
All right, Samoa Joe. I'm just gonna call them IIconics because that's what they should be. That's what they should have stayed at. They would still have a job. I promise you that.
Yeah, Billy Kay and Peyton Royce. Yeah,
all right.
No argument for me.
Chelsea Green, Tucker, another one that probably should have stayed in with his teammate, and he probably would still have a job. Kalisto, Bo Dallas, who should have been Bo Wyatt, and he would still have a job, and Mojo Rawley. So I guess when they released these wrestlers, they claimed budget cuts, but now I'm hearing that it might have just been that some of these wrestlers didn't like their creative, or they wanted to go, or whatever. I mean, if somebody wants to go, it feels like every time somebody wants to go, for the most part, they don't let them go. But who knows? Who knows what really happened here? But let's have some fun. Let's go down the list. Let's save Joe for last since he's the main eventer, in my opinion.
Okay, we'll save Joe for last.
All right, let's go. Let's go Mojo Rawley because I have no idea where to put him. I feel like, no offense, but whenever I have a person who I don't know what to do with or comes off as a little bland, I kind of want to put them in the NWA and see if they can figure something out. Unless they're really, really big. If you're a big, strong person, I think you can get over in Japan just by being big and strong. But do you have any ideas for Mojo? What would you do with Mojo?
See, the one thing about the man behind Mojo Rawley, he's a former NFL player. He's a legit badass athlete. The one issue that I've kind of seemed to have with him is that, and this is going to sound messed up and it's going to sound disrespectful, but just hear me out. I don't necessarily know whether this guy really wants to be a pro wrestler or he's in it for the fame and the entertainment of said endeavor. And that's why part of me thinks that for him, I would be like, I think it may be time to find another line of work. Because when I look at a guy like him, Mojo Rawley, the gimmick works perfect for the WWE. But if you take him and his gimmick, change his name and spruce him up differently, but keep the similar gimmick, would it work anywhere else? currently, would it work anywhere else?
I think it's really tricky. I think he's a guy who should have stayed in NXT for as long as possible. Not because of his work, whatever, but that character was not ready yet. I feel like he needed to find some more stuff that could help him get over instead of just being a hype guy. Because when you do a character like that, I feel like it kind of needs to be comedy, but it's not funny.
And the thing about it is that if you're going to be the hype guy, one or two things are going to end up happening. It's either you're going to run into an opposition in story that's going to force you to mature, to mature as a performer in story, or you end up where Mojo Rawley essentially ended up, meaning being a guy who's looks like a great athlete. When WWE was trying to have him be a villain, and they were trying to change up his persona, they did some vignettes, they did some things with him, but again, WWE didn't commit to him. And again, people could say about the WWE that, hey, they don't commit to people, but at the end of the day, when the WWE or any company for that matter, when they don't commit to a talent, it's usually not a one-way street. It's usually that something in the middle is happening, meaning the company feels that the performer is not doing his or her best. In Mojo Rawley's specific case, I can believe that somewhere along the line between point A and B, there was this feeling like, okay, we don't think that he's completely committed. And I hate saying that because I don't know the guy personally, and I don't want to go and call out his desire, because I have no clue. But just by judging by what he's done and the things he's done on TV over years and years and years, I never saw any kind of a vast improvement that would lead me to believe that he was truly serious about wanting to be a successful wrestler. And that's something that, natural raw talent will only take you but so far. At some point, you have to commit to learning, and you have to commit to getting better, especially when you work in the WWE, because there you're with the best of the best. And if for whatever reason you get too comfortable, or you want to get too relaxed in a particular position, you will be shown the door. He is not the first. He will certainly not be the last. And of all the people that got released, unfortunately, he's the one that I'm kind of like, I just feel like I don't see any place where he can actually grow at this stage of his career. And that's why I'm saying that he might want to consider a different line of work.
I mean, yeah, there's certain wrestlers they don't give opportunities to. I do agree that, yes, maybe Mojo didn't deserve the opportunity, but they've done it with people a lot better than Mojo. So
I'm sure.
Not act like that.
No, I'm certainly not. But what I'm saying is, in this particular case,
yes, I don't think he was good enough. I think it's that simple. All right, let's go to Bo Dallas. I think Bo Dallas, who is a good worker,
yes, he is,
and has shown flashes, has actually done something. Because in NXT, he was pretty damn good, and he did get a couple of things. He was at least entertaining a couple of times on television. So for me, I do want to see this Bo Dallas. I want to see a more serious version of the one that was in NXT, even with the cowboy boots. And I want to see it in the NWA. I think that is where he fits best.
See, for me, when I take a look at a guy like Bo Dallas, the one thing that I want to see him do is, it sounds weird, but the NWA would be a good fit, but it's like part of me wants to, God, what I want to be able to do is that I want to be able to see him, for lack of a better term, start from scratch all over again. Not because he's no good. It's certainly not the case with him. He's a very good worker. I think part of it is that there's a rehabilitation project there, and part of it is for him is that if he works in the NWA, and I say this with all due respect, there's not enough dates. It just isn't, because all they do is television, so there's not enough. I don't think that there would be enough opportunity to kind of see him. I think, and have him work on a more regular basis. I think for him, obviously the independent scene is not what it was because of the pandemic. But once things begin to open up, it's a matter of having him work indie shots and kind of do what Cody Rhodes did when he left the WWE. He's not going to have the same fanfare as Cody, but I think that with his work rate and the name value, he can kind of do something similar. I don't necessarily want to see him on television, although we haven't seen him on TV in 2 years, or maybe longer than that. But the reality is that I would probably want to see him do it in the indies before coming back on television. So that's really all it is with me. Is like, like if I'm going to see him work a television group, I would probably send them to Ring of Honor because they have more television, they do more TV than NWA does. But that's just it's all I'm doing now is just nitpicking, if that's the only reason why. The NWA does great TV in terms of allowing the wrestlers to cut promos. It's more of a promo-based promotion and less wrestling. So it all depends on what it is that Bo Dallas wants to work on first. And, if it's to show that he's a great wrestler, then the NWA may not be his best destination. It might be Ring of Honor. If he's trying to get over with his promo, then the NWA would probably be a good place. Part of me thinks go to the indies, basically start from step one, because with his talent, he'll rise up very, very quickly.
All right, let's Kalisto. Let's see. Kalisto. I kind of don't want him in AEW, not because he wouldn't do good there. He'd kill it there, but they have enough guys like him. They have a Phoenix already. They have Pac already.
They have too many guys like him there. They already got the Lucha
So
Brothers.
I think I would want to see him. I'd actually want to see him in Impact. They have an X division. I think he could be the face of the X division because a guy like Ace Austin, I think, should be more working towards the main event, or at least building him up to join the main event, So I think Kalisto, with his work, he is a guy, you let him go out there, tear the house down, he can do it, and I think he can make the X division very, very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that sounds like a good home for him. Again, if he wanted, in all honesty, I think that probably I would give a different suggestion. I would probably suggest him to go wrestle in Mexico first, go wrestle in AAA, and go reunite with Sin Cara, Cinta de Oro. Go back there. They can either decide to work as work in tags or work against each other. But again, it's all a matter of having Kalisto work in Mexico would probably be very good because obviously he's going to be very much in his style. I don't know what the situation is like in Mexico in terms of audience participation, or if they're allowing audiences into the arenas in Mexico, but that might be a very good impasse for him to be able to get over in Mexico. Because in all honesty, if he were to go wrestle in Impact, I think that for Ace Austin, I do agree with you. Ace Austin should be trending towards the main event. However, I think that at the moment it might be beneficial to have Ace Austin be the X Division champion, and the only time that you take the strap off of him is when you're ready to transition him. I think that him being the X Division champion for the time being is a positive. And if you're going to bring Kalisto in to eventually be the champion, not a bad idea. I would do the same thing. It's just a matter that I think for Kalisto, go to Mexico first. Again, reunite with Cinta de Oro, Sin Cara, Unico, whoever, and wrestle some matches there and get both of yourselves over, because Kalisto's done a fantastic job. He's completely changed his body. He looks amazing. So I think that it's time for him to display his skills, and I think it would be best to do it in Mexico, where he can really get over. Because I think coming off the WWE TV, he would come across as a bigger star working for AAA or CMLL than he would working for Impact.
All right, Tucker's a weird one for me, But again, I think I'm gonna say NWA. He looks like the guys that work in the NWA. I just don't see him getting over in AEW unless he gets a transformation.
No,
I don't
no.
see him getting over in Ring of Honor. I mean, Impact, if he's willing to, if they can find a way for him to change his character, they've helped other people that they've brought people in that their characters weren't great, and they made changes and helped them get
Part,
over. So
yeah, I mean, part of me with a guy like Tucker, I could buy the NWA. I think the reason why the reason why I'm a little reticent about saying that is because Trevor Murdoch does such a great job in the NWA playing a similar gimmick to what Tucker used to do. And I think that Trevor Murdoch has a lot more, obviously in the NWA, he has a lot more equity there because he's been there since the beginning of the relaunch. Tucker would probably make a good opponent for Trevor Murdoch. Part of me thinks that I may want to see him wrestle in Ring of Honor, but there has to be a transformation. He can't be Tucker Knight or whatever. He can't be whatever gimmick he had, the name of the tag team with him and Otis, Heavy Machinery. He can't be that guy. I think that in Ring of Honor, obviously, he could work against Silas Young, he could work against some of the bigger dudes and learn something different. In AEW, no, hell no, that would not work. Impact Wrestling won't work either. Only because both of those promotions tend to have it's not that there's a heavy Impact has more of an emphasis on the cruiserweight style. AEW not so much. It's just a matter that all of their wrestlers just kind of work in that style, even though they're not necessarily all smaller guys. I don't think Tucker would work in either one of those promotions. NWA I could buy, Ring of Honor I can buy, but again, he's another guy. He's kind of in the same spot as Mojo Rawley. He needs to start over from scratch, square one. And unfortunately for him, he's a guy that, and again, I hate saying this because it comes across like I'm being a jerk about this, but no one is going to be angry if they don't see Tucker Knight on television for any promotion anywhere. So again, start from square one, figure out a new gimmick, as they say, learn a new hold, and do it not on television. Do it where you can do it just in front of the audience that's in front of you. Learn to do it that way, and then when you come back on television, you're a different person, and hopefully people will buy it.
all right, let's go to Billy Kay and Peyton Royce. I love them as a team.
Yes.
I would want them as a team. I'd want them to stay together.
Yes.
I would not want them to go to AEW. And let me explain why.
You're absolutely right.
Although they would get over so quick because they're so good, they're so charismatic and so funny and charming, it will be so easy. They'll have those fans eating out of the palm of their hand.
Correct.
And it would not take any effort. However, based on what AEW has right now, and they're working on a lot of girls, and a lot of girls are starting to pick up steam, they're in a similar boat to Billy Kay. Like, they're not good enough workers to help anyone get better at AEW. So if you're not good enough to help anyone get better at AEW, I don't want you there yet. I'd rather them focus on the girls they have, get them better, and then you can bring in girls that aren't great workers, but are great entertainers, because they are great entertainers. I think I absolutely would want them to go Impact as their main home, and I'll explain why. They have tag team titles. They have a better balance of solid workers. They have a lot of established solid workers. The work is solid from 80% of the girls. So, in my opinion,
I wouldn't go so far, but okay, I'll go. Okay.
I mean, I don't know who you would think is a bad worker from the females.
I wouldn't necessarily. Well, I'll let you finish your thought, but I'm not going to jump in on it.
But I think it's perfect. I think they'll still have entertainment value. I think there's still potential to cross over and go to AEW as a, just to show up and whatever if they want to work together. But I say do 2 years in Impact. They'll get over. They'll be probably the hottest thing in the women's division at times. Because they're so charming. It's hard to find people this charming. They're working with people that are better than them in the ring, in my opinion. So they'll still have opportunity to get better. At least in the ring, they don't have to get better character-wise. In the ring, they have to get better. And yeah, I think it makes sense. And tag team titles, that's important for them. I think adding another tag team to Impact, they need them. They lost Nevaeh. I think Nevaeh is going to go somewhere else. So
the only tag team they have in Impact Wrestling are the champions. That's the only team they have.
The only real tag team. Yeah.
It's the only team they have are the champions. Listen, I agree with you. As again, my disposition with Billie Kay and Peyton Royce is they are more valuable together than the sum of their parts. They just are. I think Peyton Royce as an individual talent has at least currently more upside than Billie Kay as an individual talent. However, they're much stronger together as a team. Now, should they go to Impact Wrestling? The answer is yes. Yes, they should go to Impact Wrestling. One is because of the fact that listen, Impact Wrestling does have a good women's roster. They do. They have a good women's roster. Is it outstanding? No, but for the company and the talents that are available, they got a good women's roster. I think that Billie Kay and Peyton Royce will amplify that roster. They will amplify the roster in terms of having personalities. And again, they're coming off the WWE TV. And although Deonna Purrazzo, when she showed up last year, came from WWE TV, but Deonna Purrazzo was just completely not emphasized at all on WWE TV. She was there as a job girl. People who knew was like, ooh, Deonna Purrazzo, they know her from Ring of Honor, when Ring of Honor booked her to look similarly to what she's doing on Impact now. Except that she looks better on Impact now because she developed a promo, which she never had in Ring of Honor because Ring of Honor was never about that. Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, they're coming off the WWE TV, and no matter how you might feel about it, they had moments where they were highlighted. They were former women's tag team champions. Billie Kay was featured just a week ago at WrestleMania. She was featured on the show. Peyton Royce, just a week prior to WrestleMania, had a women's title match against Asuka that was one of the feature matches on Monday Night Raw. It's all very recent. And it'll be a tremendous benefit to the Impact Women's roster to have them on. I think that when you're talking about Billie Kay and Peyton Royce as not being good workers, I actually disagree with you. I actually think they're good workers. I think that the thing that happens with both of them is that within the gimmick that they had as the IIconics, which is more of a, comedy heel gimmick, the way that they're supposed to work like they're scared. And I think that they can still be the IIconics, but a different version of the IIconics where they can be a little more dominant, a little more heelish, and really be able to show off. I think that both of them have the skills to do it. It's just a matter that they have to do it as a team. Now, the one hope would be is that if you bring them into Impact Wrestling, that Impact, it's going to be problematic for Impact in this regard, because obviously you have Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz, who are the tag team champions. But besides them, there are, and let's just say that Billie Kay and Peyton Royce show up. So now you have two teams and there's no one else. And with all due respect, when I look at Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz, although they do look like a team and they do work, the tag team gimmick works, part of me thinks that if Peyton Royce and Billie Kay show up, with all due respect to Kiera and to Tasha, you know, the Australian girls got them beat. They've got them beat.
Well,
On you know, not in ring skill level, but in personality and in what's
yeah,
the
but there's enough for the both of them to shine. Both teams can shine, like you said.
yes
There's only two teams.
yes, but what I'm saying is that you can only have them dance with each other for so long, and what ends up happening is that Impact can have a problem because you know, if WWE that has the vast, you know, a ridiculous, you know, amount of talents, you know, of physical bodies, and they can't get established women's tag teams, they can't do it. And I know that they don't emphasize it, but I mean, when you have the bodies to do it,
There's a huge difference, though, right? Because WWE doesn't even care about their male tag teams. They just
correct,
don't care about tag team wrestling.
correct. But what I'm saying is that with Impact, the problem with them is it's not a matter of caring or not caring. It's a matter that they don't have enough people to do it.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have
That's where their problem lies.
they don't have 10 tag teams. However,
They don't have two.
yes, they don't have two, but they just had
I mean, Nevaeh and
and
Jessica
Havoc were a
Havoc.
team for a long
and
time, but they lost Nevaeh. Nevaeh's contract expired, so and she didn't resign. So, I mean, they have 3 months to figure out to find another tag team that would give them 3. They can make a bullshit tag team, whatever. Then they can try to sign another tag
Because
team.
they had
that would
Jazz
give
and
them 4.
they had Jazz and Jordan Grace, and Jazz apparently now is, I don't know if that's a shoot or a work with her
retiring
retirement.
for a shoot, it appears.
And now when they had Taya Valkyrie, who now went to the WWE, so now Taya had her group with you know, Kimberly and Su Young, excuse me. So it's again, they have bodies, but I think what ends up happening is that they're still paired as individual talents, and what ends up happening is for Tasha Steelz and Kiera Hogan, who are the tag team champions, they don't have anyone to compete with. And if and if Billie Kay and Peyton Royce show up, great. You have a ready built program with those two teams. Problem is that how many matches can you possibly get from those two teams before you need to get somebody else in?
I mean, no, they have, yes, of course, they have to find more teams. They've been able to, they've gotten through it, right? Because they just had, yeah, so they just have to be creative. That's it.
Yeah, I guess
They got 3 months before if they signed Billie Kay and.
I have a feeling they will. I don't, you know, you would figure that AEW might be a destination based on, you know, the fact that Peyton Royce is married to Sean Spears, right? You'd figure that out, but I don't buy that. I think that for them, meaning Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, I think that their value is as a tag team, at least currently, because neither one of them got over enough in the WWE to be a single star. Not their fault. It's just the WWE never followed up when they split up the IIconics, which was ridiculous to begin with. But they're gonna get another chance, hopefully, to do it as a team and to be able to show off their skills and to get over, because they can. They did get over in the WWE. They can sure as hell get over somewhere else.
They'll get over anywhere they go. This is as easy. They're so funny that it's so easy.
Well, yes, and listen, they're going to listen. Personality wise, they'll get over easily.
Yeah, it's easy.
But at the end of the day, whoever signs them, wherever they decide to go, there has to be opponents, because again, one of the biggest issues with the IIconics, and I think this is what messed them up in the WWE a little bit, is that it was so much about personalities. It was so much about exploiting their personality that I don't think that there was ever real emphasis on, hey, who's the opponent on the other side of the ring. And I think that for the IIconics in this iteration of them, whatever name they're going to go by, if they choose to continue working as a team, they're going to get over their personalities. Listen, they're both beautiful women. They're very entertaining. And as a team, they play off each other really well. But they need teams to work with. And it's going to be something that it's a challenge for anybody. But whoever signs them, they have to kind of have that in mind, because they're bringing in a tag team that's going to be ready made, and more than likely, or very quickly, will be that promotion's tag team champions wherever they go.
All right, let's go to Chelsea Green. Now, to me, Chelsea, I don't know if my eyes are deceiving me, but based on everything I've seen her do, I saw her in Impact. She was at All In, and the few matches she had in NXT, I think she is, in my opinion, I think she can lead some girls who are rookies to good matches. I truly believe so, that she is good enough to help some of the younger people in AEW. And I would think she has a big enough personality. And I think people want to see her be given a chance. They want to see what she can do. I know she can get over an Impact, but she was already there. I think she brings enough to the table that she can go and be the second biggest heel in the company after Britt Baker if she goes to AEW. I truly believe she can get it done.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree from a talent perspective that Chelsea Green would be a good fit for AEW. I don't like the idea of having her be the second top heel next to Britt Baker, because when I look at Britt Baker and I look at Chelsea Green, they kind of look alike. They kind of sort of. Kind of
Be
sort
careful,
of.
Lou. Be careful.
No. I'm not talking about. But what I'm talking about, when you take a look at the physical look of both of them, they both have They kind of do.
I do not see it. I think they're completely different. No. I don't think it's close.
No, when I look at Britt Baker, see, Britt Baker comes to the ring, right? You take a look at her attire, the ring gear. When Chelsea Green came to the ring, does she have the same type of attire as Britt Baker? No, but when you look at them,
you can throw the Chelsea Green you think you're gonna get. You can throw that out the window. You're getting hot mess Chelsea Green at AEW. That's but
the thing is that if I'm getting hot mess Chelsea Green that I got from Impact Wrestling, and that gimmick is gonna come back, then
it'll be a similar, probably more.
Again, it's again, like, listen, the gimmick. I would really like see the gimmick that Chelsea Green was playing in the WWE with Robert Stone. That was a good gimmick. That was good. The two
of them.
What is
that gimmick? What is that?
Well, the whole
pretty girl.
Well, yeah, like the pretty girl high end, because again,
every girl in AEW almost is pretty.
But AEW has a lot of different personalities. The problem is that
the pretty girl until you put her next to Anna Jay and Ty Conti. Then all of a sudden,
here's the thing though. When you take a look at Anna Jay being a member of the Dark Order, then she's got a gimmick with them. Ty Conti comes out and she's the judo girl. Mm-hmm. Or whatever her martial art discipline is.
Judo,
right?
Yeah.
That's what she does. So they have their gimmick. And Dr. Britt Baker, she is the gorgeous professional, bitchy dentist, and that's her gimmick. And she's got Rebel Reba to boot with her. And the gimmick works with the two of them. With Chelsea Green, I don't necessarily know if I would want to put her as a heel. If you're babyface yet. See, but that's the thing to be mindful of, right? Because when you take a look, AEW has a plethora of baby faces, and they don't have enough heels. Britt Baker does an excellent job in her role, and I don't think there's anybody else. Jade Cargill might be the next best thing, and that's several steps after Britt Baker.
She's
several steps.
She's only had a few matches, but she is gonna be a huge star if she loves wrestling. If she doesn't love wrestling and she wants to go be an actress,
I will say this about Jade Cargill. She's very attractive. She obviously has a lot of swag and a lot of personality. and she has a lot of charisma. It jumps off the screen. Do I believe that she's going to be in wrestling long term? No, I don't. No, I don't.
Well, let's just assume
But-
that while she's
but-
at AEW,
I'm just
trying to
being,
be the best Jade Cargill she can be.
yeah, I'm just saying that I don't think that, you know, when I look at her, she kind of comes across like she loves being on television, but I don't necessarily think that she loves wrestling.
Well, I mean, I'm
That's
sure
just
she
that-
doesn't. She probably doesn't love wrestling. But when I first saw Bianca Belair, I didn't think she loved wrestling either. She was just a stud athlete, you know, that Mark Henry was like, "Do you want to try wrestling?" And she was like, "Sure." And she just happened to be such a freaky athlete that
Oh, no,
she could do it.
but yeah, but when you take a look, I mean, listen, every story is different. I mean, obviously, you know, with Bianca, you can tell that she had all the talent in the world. She just needed to be, she needed to get point A to point B in you know, between the ears in terms of the athleticism. Was always there. It's just a matter of getting, you know, the psychological understanding. Jade Cargill, I think she's got all the physical tools. That's for sure. I just don't know exactly what we're going to get from her in the future, if there's going to be a long future for her. But anyway, I'm getting off track. I agree with you. I think Chelsea Green is a good fit for AEW. It's just a matter that I don't know where exactly to place her or what gimmick, because the gimmick that I saw in the WWE, it was never fully developed, but I was kind of liking what I was seeing out of her, particularly when she was with Robert Stone. I remember Hot Mess Chelsea Green from Impact, and I didn't like that gimmick. I didn't like it at all because
it might have been too far. But I think if you take the concept and the idea and clean it up, take the best parts, you know, don't make it confusing, simplify it, you know, clean it up, and then, like I said, take the best parts, see what, you know, she knows better than we do what worked and what didn't work when she was doing that character. And if whatever she gained while doing this new character, if she again knows what worked and what didn't work, because she was the one doing it, we didn't get to see everything. I'm sure she was doing house shows that we didn't get to see,
of course,
on NXT. So there's stuff that I'm sure she has in her bag that if she puts it all together and presents a updated package, I think she'll do really, really well. So I mean, we'll see. I at least I know that she's good enough in the ring that she can, because I think that's what AEW needs. They need to be able to put veterans with some of their younger girls, because they have girls that are really, really new, and they're getting better.
They have girls that are just, you know, just barely out of wrestling school. So
I mean,
some of them might still be in wrestling school, quite honestly.
yeah, just like girls in NXT. I mean, there's plenty of, you need young talent. I mean, it's just
But
just what you need, especially AEW jumped in the game late. They were already, all the girls were pretty much taken, and they had to find, you know,
there's still, there's a lot of really good female talent out there that is unsigned.
If they're really good and they're not signed by AEW by now, they don't want to be in AEW, or they have attitude problems or something. Something is wrong.
I say this
AEW has given 100 girls a chance.
I say this with all due respect to the attitude issues. Who gives a crap? If you're talented,
it may not be worth it. It may not be worth it.
If you're talented, you give them a chance, because ultimately, the person with the pen, the person who's signing the check, that's the person with the biggest stroke in the room. And if you're a business person, you got to check your ego at the door and know that you got yourself a fantastic opportunity with AEW to get yourself over and to get seen by a nationwide, worldwide audience.
We're obviously talking about Tessa Blanchard here. Tessa is great.
Tessa Blanchard and a lot of others.
But who?
You know, Ivelisse Velez, unfortunately too, but she falls in that category.
At this point, it has to be Ivelisse. That girl has had issues at every company she's been with.
Unfortunately.
beef with more. I've never seen so much public beef with one person. She's like Austin Aries. Like everyone hates her. I don't know why. I wish I knew because I'm a big fan and I want her to be great. And it sucks that this keeps happening. And I wish I knew what the hell it was. And I wish it would just stop and go away because of, if it's her, she needs to figure it out. Like she needs to figure it out, like how to work with people. Like I don't get it.
That has nothing to do with wrestling talent. That has to do with the human being, unfortunately, having a tremendous lack of discipline in their personal life.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it is that she's doing. I don't know if it's as simple as she doesn't put up with shit, and maybe when everything is there's people who I know who have this Tupac complex. Like it's the world, it's me against the world. So it's like everything that everyone does is to hurt them. And if I think that's what she might have. I don't know.
No, I mean,
but if everything that everyone does is to hurt her in her mind, and at her age she can't figure out that just do your job and try to get along with people. In 2021, no less, where people are not as cutthroat as they used to be, like in wrestling, where back in the day, everyone, even if they were cool, they weren't cool until 5 years later when they, you know what, brother, you've earned my respect.
I mean, listen, one of the reasons why I say this is because in women's wrestling, there was a time where women's wrestling was especially very cutthroat because of the fact that there were so few spots for women. Now you have literally the top two companies literally dedicating 50% of their programming to women's wrestling, because AEW does it and the WWE does it. It may not be exactly 50%, but it's pretty damn close.
There are nights where it could be, yeah, absolutely. There's opportunities at the end of the day.
What I'm saying is that for upper scale talents, listen, Tessa Blanchard is a talent that should be on national television, should be with the WWE or AEW in the United States of America. The fact that she's not signed to either one of those two companies, to me, baffles my mind from a talent, just pure talent perspective in the ring. Attitude be damned.
I don't agree with that. If I'm a business owner, I am not hiring somebody who might be a piece of shit. I'm just not.
Well,
not worth it.
Well, here's the reality of it.
He's not Steve Austin.
So, well, here's the thing. Sometimes for talents like that, they might have issues in that regard. Obviously, with coming in, you bring them into a system, and what you do is that you teach, and obviously no system is perfect. Human beings are running these systems. They're going to be flawed. They're going to be problems. So I totally get it. For people that constantly have issues, in wrestling, always having issues everywhere they go, the common denominator is them. They have to look in the mirror and they have to understand is that this is a job. It's a business. You're not always going to get along with everybody that you work with. You're not always going to like the situations that you're put in. The difference between adults and children is the way that you manage those situations, whether you like them or not. Because believe me, I'm sure that if we were to sit down and talk to every professional wrestler, I guarantee you that they'll have a litany of stories of things that they've been asked to do that if they really had their druthers, they would be like, absolutely not. And they could give you a zillion reasons why, and all of them justified. But they still do what they're asked. That's called being a professional.
And yeah, but I don't think Tessa. Look, the fact Tessa has had personal issues with other wrestlers and has apparently, I don't know if it's true or not, but I guess she's pissed a lot of people off. She's crossed a lot of lines, and it might not be true, but this is how everyone feels. It feels that way. I'm sure she's got a couple of homegirls that'll have her back. But then to make matters worse, when a company did take a chance on her, she completely screwed them. So if I
Yeah.
am, if I'm a company, I'm like, I mean, I'm sure she's probably signed already. I'm sure that she will show up in WWE or AEW, and she will be given a chance because she's that good. But I'm sure this will be her last chance if she screws this up. And I don't mean screw it up like by having bad matches. We know
No,
what it. We know what we mean.
it's doing bad business. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So if something goes wrong, we might miss out on maybe the best female talent. You know, potentially she could have been the best. You know, so it
And
sucks. I hope she
we'll
figures
never
it out.
and we'll never and unfortunately we'll probably never get to know if listen if they got that many issues in the wrestling business. Again, I hate saying this. Find another line of work.
Yeah, I mean, I think she'll figure it out. She's really young, and I think a lot of the things she did, maybe she was given bad advice, and maybe she was impulsive, and maybe she just was young and dumb. So you make mistakes, and maybe when she's 29, she'll handle it differently than when she was 22.
Well,
But
that well
that,
part of that maturity is being grown enough to go to those people who you pissed off and apologize, even if you don't necessarily think you're wrong.
yeah. So hopefully she does all of that, and hopefully we do see her, and hopefully she proves everybody wrong, and turns out to be a model citizen.
She's too. I'm telling you, somebody like Tessa Blanchard's way too talented to not be on national
She
TV.
has some intangibles that are better than any female I've ever seen. She hits the ropes harder than any female that I've ever seen,
She's
at
great.
least as far as I can remember. She has intensity. I can't even think. Let me see. Yeah, if you compare to Becky, Sasha, Charlotte, Asuka, she has more
Listen,
intensity than all of them, in my
listen,
opinion. She is
Tessa,
really strong. She's really fast. Like she has this explosiveness like that I don't see from many females.
dude, listen, you're
That's
preaching to the
good shit.
you're preaching to the choir here. I've been saying this now for the better part of a year. What the hell's going on? At this point now, it's like I'm wasting my saliva talking about this.
She's
She
training
needs
her
to,
ass off. I have her on Instagram. So
that's great. That's
she's
great.
getting jacked. So I think she's ready to make a return. We'll
Good,
see what happens.
you know what? Good for her. I hope that she make a move soon. Because damn it, you're too good of a talent to not be on one of the two major TV wrestling programs. Get it together. Let's work. Let's figure this out.
All right. So we got Mickie James. I think Mickie James is another perfect candidate for AEW. She's a veteran. She is actually, I know for a fact that she can lead people to a great match. Not a great match, but a solid performance. Because where was it? Was it at Evolution? It was a tag match.
Yeah, but she was working. She was working against Trish and Lita.
Yes,
So
and she carried their asses. She carried their asses. Lita could not do a thing. Mickie James has never worked. Go back and watch that match with fresh eyes, and you will be. I remember everyone I was with. We were like paying attention to Mickie. She carried that match. She did it everything. I mean, it's not because Lita and Trish are not good. We know they were good, but they haven't wrestled at that time. They hadn't wrestled for years.
correct.
Mickie carried their asses. Mickie looked like a super. She looked like Shawn Michaels. Like she was like the best worker I've ever seen. Like she was like so good. Go back and watch it and pay attention to Mickie James, and you're gonna be like, oh my god, wow, what a carry job! It's one of the best carry jobs I've ever seen in wrestling, and I think AEW needs that. You put her in there with a Penelope, or people like that who still need some work, but have charisma and have ability, but you need someone to guide them. Mickie is perfect. Also, Mickie, I mean, it probably would be cool to see her with Nick Aldis, but I'm not a huge fan of NWA's women's division. It's like Thunder Rosa is the only person I care about. I'm sorry, no offense, but
Okay.
I want to see Mickie James have. Me personally, I know how good Mickie James is because I was a huge TNA fan when they had the stacked women's roster and they had Gail Kim and Mickie and Victoria and Awesome Kong.
Yep.
But even then, when TNA clearly wanted to have great matches with women, they wanted to have great 10-minute matches with women. You get what I'm saying? And I just want to see one. And I'm not saying that Mickie can't do both. Mickey's a big enough star that maybe she can work something out where she can work some dates in AEW, some dates in NWA, and maybe she can work with Nick, and then she can have the match. I want to see her have a great match, long match on television, main event. A signature match, like that. Unfortunately,
Against who?
against anybody who is, she can do it with Britt. I would rather it be a heel. Yes, I'd like it to be with Britt. Britt Baker, main event, Mickie putting Britt over, having a 20-minute main event match or 18-minute, 17-minute, whatever they need. I want something to feature Mickie James' greatness. I think we've only got to see it. We got to see it, but not to me. I want to see that.
We've been seeing it for the last 15 years.
Yeah,
man.
but you can't name a match in the last 5 years besides the Evolution match, which wasn't a great match. It was a great performance by her. But I want to see a great one-on-one match from Mickie James because I know she will kill it. She will kill it.
Well, listen, I honestly think that for her, if she were to go work in the NWA, you already have a ready-built story. Because of the fact that Nick Aldis, his second is Camille. Camille, in real life, is married to Thomas Lattimore, who is Nick Aldis's, I guess he, all three of them are on the same team. You introduce Mickie James in there, and obviously you're going to acknowledge that Mickie James is Nick Aldis's wife. You're going to acknowledge that openly. It'd be silly not to. And then you cause tension because Mickey's gonna look at Camille, be like, "What the hell you doing?" Blah blah blah. Then Thomas Latimer, who is Camille's significant other, is gonna start chirping. You got yourself a match there. And say what you want to about Camille, but Mickie James can be able to work very well with her. And obviously, Latimer and Aldis are both fantastic talents. So you got yourself ready built storyline there. I don't know what, how Melina's looking, in ring these days, if she's still doing it. I know that she's been working with the NWA for a while. I don't know about Velvet Sky because I know that Velvet Sky is working with the NWA now in a commentary role, but I don't know if she's even considering, going back into the ring to wrestle. Listen, I agree with the disposition in AEW. I think that she would do a fantastic job of getting some of those girls over. Realistically, the one match that I would want to see Mickie James have, and again, this is incumbent on AEW getting their proverbial head out of their ass in terms of the way that they book their women, is having Mickie James work a match against, oh my gosh, her name is against Nyla Rose. But again, Nyla Rose needs to be rehabbed big time.
I don't think they see what we see in Nyla Rose, and I think that's okay. I think they have other people that they like a little bit better. I think Nyla Rose in there as of now, because
Nyla Rose is AEW's Awesome Kong.
Yeah, but maybe in their eyes, maybe they just don't see that,
Because I mean, yes, I could see a Mickie James versus Britt Baker match. That would be great. I would love to see Mickie James work against Thunder Rosa. I'd like to see her work against Serena Deeb. I'd like to see a match between Mickie James and Red Velvet. Red Velvet is show that she has a lot of personality and a lot of charisma. Although I they put her in the ring against Jade Cargill, and although they tell us that Red Velvet's won, 6 matches in a row on AEW Dark Elevation, but she goes out there and Jade basically, manhandles her and beats her flat. AEW does have some female talent that would be benefit greatly working with Mickie James. The reason why I say some and not all is because some of the women on the AEW roster, they need a lot more polish before they can get in the ring and work against Mickie James. It's not a matter that Mickie can't help them. It's just that they're too many rungs below. Like they're not ready for that.
I'm sorry, but if Mickie can't go in there with someone who needs help and they're not good enough, then we don't need. Then AEW doesn't need Mickie James.
No, my disposition would be is that some of those women that are there, if they can't get in the ring with Mickie James, because again, Mickie James lead them to a good match? The answer is yes. However, the premise is that said talent, the opposition, has enough basic knowledge to get through the match. If they can't do that, that's not Mickie James's fault. That's incumbent on the talent. And sometimes if Mickie, no.
I mean, I don't agree with that at all.
No.
I mean, you have veterans, you throw them out there with a rookie. That's how rookies get better. That's just the case.
Yes, but rookies get better by working against. Again, if you have one major veteran talent, let's say Mickie James is like clearly the one big veteran talent that they have on their roster, and that's no disrespect to Thunder Rosa or Serena Deeb because they're both veterans as well. But Mickie James, obviously, much larger name. But there's only when you have those talents, there's only but so many matches that they can, those kinds of training matches. Sometimes the girls, especially the girls who are either still in wrestling school or just out of wrestling school, they have to kind of like work some basic matches against other trainees at their level for just to get reps in.
They do that. That's exactly
what I'm saying is that
every girl, I mean, not every girl, because I don't follow every girl's career in AEW, but I can knock out 10 at least that have gotten way better in 6 months. It's like night and day.
Okay.
I mean, there are tremendous. Red Velvet it's crazy. I can see her in 5 years being like a Sasha Banks type worker.
Okay.
I mean, but based on potential, what I've seen, the flashes.
She's good. She's not horrible. She's got potential.
Yeah. So to me, you take somebody like that. Ty Conti's already gotten way better than what I saw her first month there. She's like now looking a lot more confident, a lot more comfortable. Her moves look vicious. Everything is starting to look good and looks nice and stiff. I'm sure it's not. I hope it's not. I haven't seen a lot of Penelope lately. I don't know if she's gotten better.
Yeah, don't get me started on Penelope Ford. That's a missed opportunity so far with AEW. They got to do more.
Well, I mean, she has to get better. We've seen her in the ring. We've seen her be given opportunities, and she's had maybe one really good performance, and that's it. So she has the potential. We know she has the potential, but I wouldn't rush it. I think you keep testing out different girls, and every time a girl does well, you give her a little more, and then a little more, and then a little more. So I think they'll be fine. I think Mickie should probably retire in the NWA. Like when I'd like to see her have a series of matches, even if it's a 3-month thing. Just a series of matches. Not that she's losing every match. Let her work with younger people. She can win, and then you decide if it's Nyla Rose or you decide if it's Britt Baker or another, maybe Jade Cargill, whoever you want, a heel that can get the rub and beat Mickie on her way out. And then she can go to NWA, work with Nick Aldis, which, like you said, that's very compelling. And it's also probably be nice for them to work together. I don't think they probably met in TNA, I imagine. I don't know how long they were together in TNA. I don't remember the time frame. But it's probably been a while since they worked together. So I'm sure they'd like to do that. So that'd be cool. And like you said, they got some built-in stories.
I will say that the end of Mickie James's career is going to end in the WWE when she gets inducted into the Hall of Fame. Like that's the obvious But
Yeah, but I mean
again,
her wrestling. She's not gonna wrestle in WWE ever again. I don't think so.
mm,
Because if they
I
want her to
don't.
wrestle, they would have not fired her.
It's, you know what?
Especially
It's
Mickie.
strange. It's strange to me because I figure that Mickie James was the one person who I can understand the majority of the talents that got let go. Almost all of them, I can clearly understand why they were let go. Mickie James was confusing to me, and Samoa Joe was confusing to me. But everyone else that they let go, as messed up as this sounds, because again, these are human beings and they've lost their jobs. Now they got to find other ways to support their families. But I clearly understand why they were let go. And believe it or not, that's the biggest blessing for all of them.
Well, not all of them.
Believe like I said, depending on their truest intention, right? It will be the biggest blessing for all of those people. If they truly want to stay in the business and they truly want to do it, it will be the biggest blessing for them.
And if they have the talent to do it, right? Because I don't think they're
Well,
all good enough.
I say, listen, I say this sincerely. Any wrestler that makes it to the WWE or to any major wrestling promotion in the world, talent is not the problem. Talent is not the issue.
Mojo Rawley might not get another job in wrestling. That's not just regular. I mean, he can still kill it on the indies. He can still get better.
Part of me thinks, again, part of me thinks that he's a guy that enjoyed being a celebrity and enjoyed being on television, but did he want to be a professional wrestler for real?
I don't know.
Because when you come into the because when you start in the WWE system, it's almost as if I wanted to be a basketball player and I don't play, little league basketball, junior high, high school, and college, and I just go right to the NBA.
Correct.
Like I start in the NBA and then I realize I suck or I'm not good enough and I have to go down to the junior league somewhere to get better. They say, yo, Lou, you got skills, but you need to mature somewhere else. Go somewhere, go play in Europe, go play in the G League, go do something like that for a couple of years and come back to us. We'd love to have you back in the league. Well, if I already played in the big show, I played in the NBA. Do I really want to go down and play in some junior league in some other part of the world? That's the idea of the dedication, and that, like, if I really wanted to do it, I'd say yes. I'll go play in the junior league. I'll get better, and 2, 3, 4 years from now, I'll be right back in the NBA playing with the big boys. So the premise is no different here for Mojo Rawley or any of these other people that got released. It's no different for any of them.
All right. I mean, Wesley Blake is another one. I don't see much in Wesley.
I mean, listen, what I saw a little bit of him, outside of the WWE. He was very indiscriminate in the WWE, and again, this is a guy. Again, he's going to be you got to start from scratch. You got to start all over again. It's unfortunate, but.
All right. Before we go to Joe, let's go over some people from last year.
Sure.
Who may not be signed yet, or who aren't signed yet, as far as I know. All right. So.
I mean, I got the whole list here, but.
Yeah, I have the list too, but
All right, beautiful. All right.
Let's just go through the people who I don't think are signed. So Leo Rush, I know he's worked some New Japan spots, New Japan Strong. But besides that, I haven't seen him anywhere else. And I don't think he's signed to anybody else. He's working some indies though. He's been doing some cool stuff. He's been doing some cool music.
I know he did a reality show for, I think, MTV or something like that.
Yeah, I've been seeing him do some cool things. He seems to still have a lot of passion left in him.
Yeah, I mean, again, I look at a guy like Leo Rush, and again, it's like I see him, and he's a very talented, junior heavyweight wrestler. I think that for a guy like Leo Rush, He did very well when he was Bobby Lashley's manager. He did I mean, obviously not as good as the, MVP is in that role, but I think that there was something there with Leo Rush that I honestly think that if he wanted to be in the big time, I don't think that it will be as a wrestler. It would probably be as a manager. And I don't know if he's ready to do that yet. And if he's not, that's fine. But I think that if he was to be in the big time, it's going to be as a manager to some main event star.
Yeah, I think he's too good to be a manager. The money is in the ring. I think he can be a manager when he hits 45 years old, or if he retires before then.
I don't know, man. I don't know. The money for, again, the money. It doesn't matter. Listen, a lot of people think that the money is all in just being the main event wrestler, and I get it. I understand that. And again, this is no disrespect to Leo Rush, but Leo Rush is not going to be main eventing any major league, big time wrestling show anywhere. He could be part of it, but if he's going to be the top main event drawing, he's not.
Maybe. Well, he can main event a show.
Yes,
he's going to be the top. Yes. He may not be the top guy, but
he won't be.
Well, I'm not going to say he won't be. I mean,
he won't be. I'll say
the top guy in MLW.
Like, no disrespect, man.
He can be the top guy. He'd be the best worker in AEW. I mean, in MLW, and it wouldn't be close.
There's a gentleman there by the name of Jacob Fatu that might have something to say about that.
Who's a stud, but he can't be champion forever. We're gonna have a 10-year championship.
There's another gentleman by the name of Alexander Hammerstone.
He's a better worker than Hammerstone. It's not close. He's a way better worker than Hammerstone. He's a way bigger star also. So yes, I mean I get it. He's small. But anyway, what I was gonna say is, if you want your cake and you want to eat it too, I think you can put Leo Rush in the same role that Enzo was in a tag with a big guy, and let Leo do all the talking, all the shit talking. Not for nothing, I want to see Enzo and Cass back in WWE, because I know the reason they don't have a job is because they were probably dicks while they were there. But I think I know. Did you see the interview Big Cass, Chris Van Vliet?
I saw snippets of it, but I haven't seen the whole thing.
So it's pretty good. And obviously, I don't know if Big Cass is sincere. I don't know him like that, but he seemed really sincere. He had, problems. He had some serious issues that almost killed him, and maybe that changed him for the better.
I hope so too.
And not for nothing, but Enzo was helping him a lot during those times, trying to get him back, on the right path. And I think considering how over they were in the WWE, and they're just like a perfect fit. I think, honestly, if I was running WWE, I don't know if it would. I don't know how it would look, if it would be bad to sign Enzo because he had allegations, even though he fought them and everything turned out that
his name was cleared. He's
completely cleared, 1,000%.
He's in the clear. Like we're
If I had the pen, I would have had a surprise appearance either on Raw after Mania or at Mania from Enzo and Cass, because if that music ever hits again, and there's fans in the stands, and that music comes on, and Enzo starts, talking his shit. My name is Enzo. That was one of the most over acts.
Well, but the thing is that if you're looking, the gimmick that you're placing, because the gimmick that that obviously you wanted to pick for Leo Rush would basically be the heel version, I'm presuming, of Enzo and Cass. Now, the thing about it is that, in all honesty, although Enzo and Cass, when Enzo would cut that promo, I'm Enzo Amore, I'm a certified G, the bona fide stud, blah, 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 right? All that
Everybody
stuff,
knows it. Everybody
right?
knows
And and you can't teach that and all that jazz. Well,
it.
the reality is that if they were to ever come back, you can start them off as baby faces because it feels like I hate using the word nostalgia act because they're not old, but call it what it is, right? Let's just call it a revival act of Enzo with Cass.
Yep.
Well, you're going to have to flip the script at some point. You flip the
Fine. Yeah.
you flip the script. Now the idea would be is that the idea would have to be is that Cass is the one that gets emphasized as a star, whereas Enzo can be his mouthpiece. That because again, Enzo, the money would be is that if first of all, Cass looks amazing. He's done a great job of getting himself back in great shape, and his story's one. Listen to it. I didn't listen to the interview with Chris Van Vliet, and Chris Van Vliet does great work. But I've heard other interviews that Kaz has had talking about his about his addictions and his struggles. But the reality is that if he was to do that, there would be money because I think the WWE at one point was considering making a big star out of Big Cass. It's just a matter that it just didn't work out. They were just obviously, the person behind Big Cass, the real life person, all those issues bubble up, and unfortunately, life happens. And again, with Enzo Amore has tons of personality. Like he's got personality for 10 people. But at the end of the day, it's like, again, there's more money in having him be the mouthpiece for Cass, where Cass could be the big monster beating people up. Enzo could be the mouthpiece. When it's time for Cass to go down to the babyface then gets to beat up Enzo Amore, a la Bobby the Brain Heenan, a la Jimmy Hart, guys of that ilk many years ago, where the managers had more heat than the wrestlers. And then when the baby faces would beat the heel wrestler, who would be the person taking the last bump? The manager. That's why I'm saying, with Lio Rush, same principle. Lio Rush could be a super talented junior heavyweight wrestler, but if he wanted to be a main event player in this business, it's not going to be with him being a wrestler. It's going to be him being a manager, because he would be fantastic in the role. He just needs to be with the right people to do it.
All right. Just a few more names I want to talk about. Curtis Axel. I think Curtis Axel.
Joe Hennig, what a great talent. What a great talent Joe Hennig is.
Yes. First of all, Joe Hennig, I think you can just call him Joe Hennig.
I don't think people know who Curtis Axel is anymore.
And I
Joe
think
Hennig
that
probably
name is overcomplicated. I think they overthought this. I think it's okay that he's Mr. Perfect Son. And I think you don't have to ignore it. I think it's silly.
I don't think they ever really ignored it. I think what ended up happening is that when you look at Curtis Axel, Joe Hennig doesn't look like Kurt Hennig, God rest his soul. He looked like Larry the Axe Hennig, his grandfather. And to the WWE audience knew clearly who Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig was. They clearly know who he is. But Larry the Axe was a big deal in the AWA out in Minneapolis, but not in the WWE or the WWF. Like in the Northeast territory of the McMahons, the Larry the Axe was not, he didn't work in the Northeast that much. So that's and the thing is for Joe Hennig, Michael McGillicuddy, what a stupid name that was, Curtis Axel. It's just he looks so much like Larry the Axe. If he resembled Mr. Perfect more physically, like with the blonde hair and whatever, if he resembled his dad more, then it's a much easier resemblance. But the fact is, when you look at Mr. Perfect and then you see Joe Hennig, the talent is there, but the look is not.
I don't care. I don't care how he looks, because the reality is
it matters, dude. It really does.
It matters, but it doesn't. I mean, you just have to know what are his strengths. If his strengths are not his looks, fine, fine. You know what he is good at? Getting it done in the ring. But he's never got opportunities to wrestle. It's the whole Cesaro thing. They're finally doing it with Cesaro, thank God. But if you have a great wrestler and he seems to be lacking in other departments, so for him it was his appearance. No one's gonna care about his appearance if he is tearing the house down. And if his appearance prevents him from being a top guy, that is fine because we need people in the middle. We need great workers in the middle too.
And Vic, I get it. Believe me, I'm not sitting here and I'm arguing the point about Joe Hennig, in the ring. He's fantastic. The issue becomes is, again, I've already said this ad nauseum many times. When you're in the WWE and you have an embarrassment of riches that they have in terms of the amount of people that they have on their roster and the amount of great talents, then Joe Hennig is no different than 50 other guys on their roster that can work just as well. And they either have more personality, better look, more marketable, whatever. And those guys are not getting top-notch opportunities.
Well,
that's really what it was with him.
The problem is that no one gets opportunities. I think that's the.
Listen. Am I going to say that no one gets? No, that's a bit of an exaggeration. Do they get what would be considered great opportunities? Okay, that's debatable. But say no opportunities, no, that's a stretch.
I don't see a lot of people getting opportunities. I don't think, and when I say opportunities, I don't mean you're out there on television. I mean
that's an opportunity every week, whether you
but it's not. It's not. Like you said, if everyone is good, 2 minutes on television is not good enough. It's like you're not giving me a chance. I'm sorry, you're just not. And I'm not saying they have to. They don't have to give Joe Hennig a chance. They didn't have to. I'm not saying they have to. If they think he's not good enough, then fine.
Well, listen, he was part of the Nexus group. That's how he was introduced.
Mm-hmm.
He's part of the Nexus group. Mm-hmm. He was a former Intercontinental Champion.
Yes.
Then he was like meandering around in the middle forever. Then when I think it was he and Sandow when they did the whole,
they were getting over.
They were getting over in this comedy Mega Powers.
But then Hulk Hogan dropped the N-bomb,
and they had to drop it. Yup, that went down the toilet. Then you put Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel as just Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. And then when they came up with the B-team gimmick, that was hysterical. That was great. Now, and I think that they won the tag team titles, I think, at least once, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And
so he's had opportunities. Now, whether or not it's perceived as like, oh, big time, no. I mean, let's put it like he didn't get the same, he did not, by comparison, get similar opportunities to, again, I hate using the comparison, but when you look at his father, Curt Hennig. If Hulk Hogan was not around in the time when Curt Hennig got really over in the WWF back in 1990, Curt Hennig would have been the WWF champion. If it wasn't for if Hulk Hogan wasn't there.
Is this an opinion, or do you know, or is this something you heard?
Listen. I'm only saying this from what I've heard others say. This is, I can't give my opinion as a fact because that would be ridiculous. But others within the company would be like, listen, during the era when Curt Hennig was at his hottest, unfortunately, he was at the same time where there was a gentleman by the name of Terry Bollea, also known as Hulk Hogan, and he was in the WWF and he was the guy. And unfortunately, no matter what, no one was beating the Hulk.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's fine. Look, I don't expect him to be Mr. Perfect, but one thing I love about Lucha is legacy. They'll have a guy who's wearing the same mask that his great-grandfather wore 40 years or 50 years before him. And that is great. And it never happens in American wrestling. And I don't know if that's the right approach. I think when there is legacy, like Roman Reigns, they embrace that legacy, and that works. And I think it's fine. And I think if everyone knows that you are Mr. Perfect Son, even if you are perceived to not be as cool, because I think that's all it is. He's just not as cool as Mr. Perfect. Fine. But that doesn't mean that he couldn't figure it out and that he can't figure it out, I should say. Because I think maybe in the right situation, by the way, I didn't say where I want them. I want him to go, at least at the beginning, to Ring of Honor, and I want to see if he can work that pure style. I think he can, and I think he'll kill it.
Are we talking about Joe Hennig?
Yes.
Okay.
I want to see if he can do that.
Joe Hennig was released over a year ago, and I haven't seen him do anything since.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't want to. Maybe he's done.
So I'm just saying now. To answer your point about in Mexico, yes, Mexico, the legacy is a big deal. But you answered the question immediately. In Mexico, the look is the mask. The mask is the look.
Yes.
And if you was to take the mask off of those wrestlers and reveal their faces, they will not be, again, this is why when they have the mask versus mask or mask, particularly mask versus mask matches, usually the guy that loses, this used to be very prevalent, probably over the last maybe decade and a half, not so much. But guys, when they lost their masks, their careers, I don't want to say that their careers were over, but it got to be tough. Sometimes guys would have to leave the territory and come back with a different gimmick, because wrestling as whoever they were without the mask, they're not over. The mask is the gimmick. That's the reason why you can look at so many of the Mexican wrestlers and say, great-grandfather, grandfather, father, son, and you have generations, and they have the same name. And yes, every generation changes the look and the mask, but the gimmick, the essence of the gimmick is the same. The reason why they can do that, again, the mask is the gimmick. Unfortunately, in the United States, the reason why that legacy isn't always there is because what you're selling, because when you look at Roman Reigns, to use your example about Roman Reigns, the reason why they can talk about all the Samoan legacy, look at Roman Reigns. He looks like a Hollywood star. If you never watched wrestling in your life and you saw him on your screen and they say he's the #1 guy in this promotion, you'll be hard pressed to get people to say, I don't buy it.
Not everyone in that family looked like a Hollywood star.
Correct, but that's the point.
But they all were embraced, and the family and the legacy was embraced.
Correct, but before Rodney Anoa'i as Yokozuna, before him, none of those guys were main event level talents. Yes, they were either in tag teams or in middle card, but they were never main event like world champions.
And that's
before Yokozuna.
That's fine.
Yes, and then after him, after Rodney Anoa'i, you had The Rock, and now you have Roman Reigns, and there have been a litany of guys.
Yes, but
so the point that I'm getting at is that yes, you can point to the Samoan legacy with Roman Reigns, but part of it is because his look. If he didn't look the way he did, would he still be a part of the WWE roster? He absolutely would. But would he be the top guy? Would he be the main event?
I'm not saying that Curtis Axel needs to be the top guy. I'm not.
But what I'm saying is
it's okay to embrace.
Yes, but here's the thing. The point that I'm trying to make is that with a guy like Curtis Axel, you can say that he's the grand, and they've done it because WWE did recognize it, that he is the grandson of Larry the Axe Hennig. He is the son of Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig. They would say it many times, yes, especially when he was the Intercontinental Champion. And unfortunately for him, what ended up happening is the more they did that, the more they actually buried him. Because as talented as Joe Hennig is, because he is incredibly talented in the ring, but unfortunately, would in-ring talent alone is not enough.
It's not enough to be a top guy.
But what I'm saying is what WWE wanted to do with him is they wanted to emphasize him and help him go up the card. It's just unfortunately his in-ring bell to bell, the 20 by 20, he knows exactly what he's doing. He could do it with his eyes closed. He could do it half asleep and drunk. But it's a matter that when you look at, particularly at Mr. Perfect was such a popular personality in the WWE for many years, spanning from the late 80s into the 90s, that unfortunately for Joe Hennig, it sucks for me to say this, but he didn't have, when you compare him and then you try to compare him to his father, unfortunately he didn't measure up.
Yeah. Was Mr. Perfect as big as Dusty Rhodes?
Yeah, that is not even a correct comparison.
Why not?
Because if you're talking about Curt Hennig, you can make the comparison with Dusty Rhodes, with Dustin and Cody. You can make
that is the comparison I'm making. If Cody can get over even though he's in the shadow of Dusty freaking Rhodes, probably the most over guy ever.
But he's not in Dusty. But understand something, right? He's not in Dusty's shadow. He's not.
He's not. You know why?
Dustin was.
They're both.
No. Hear me out. Hear me out. The reason why Dustin was always in Dusty's shadow is because of the fact that when Dustin got into the wrestling business, Dusty was still a big star in the business currently. When Cody got into the business, Dusty was a beloved personality, but he was not wrestling. He wasn't the top star.
He still existed.
He will always exist, even after his death.
He existed.
Yes, but when
Cody exists, Cody is as over as the babyface can be.
Dude, it's not. Listen, I will say this. It's not a fair. First of all, Cody Rhodes has proven himself to be at a much higher level than what Joe Hennig is.
I tell you what, we did not know that when they were in WWE together. You can't tell me you knew that when they were in WWE together.
No, of course not. Of course not.
You did not know Cody was this good. You did not know.
Yeah, because back in 2006 he wasn't.
He
wasn't.
Maybe he wasn't.
He wasn't. It's not maybe. He wasn't.
Okay. Maybe. I don't know. I can't say that because it felt
I can.
It took him 6 months to be what he is now. After he left.
Baloney. I'm not gonna sit here and believe that only over the last 18 months has Cody Rhodes become this good. Baloney. It's taken him 15 years to do it.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying he went from WWE Stardust to American Nightmare Cody in what felt like, I don't know exactly the time frame, but it seemed to click. I think it was 3 rough months probably, and then by the 6th month it was, here it goes, off to the races.
But the thing is that he also had however many years, 7, 8, 10 years of experience prior to that.
And so does Curtis Axel. He has the same
He doesn't have the same personality though. It's personalities mean a lot. This has nothing to do with in-ring skills. This has to do with personalities.
The point is you shouldn't be afraid of your legacy. You should not be afraid. You should embrace your legacy. And if WWE was gonna embrace like they did, they would say, this is the grandson of whatever, Larry the Axe, and the son of Mr. Perfect. And they should have just let him beat Joe Hennig then. That's it.
Well,
they should have just allowed him to be Joe Hennig. And then,
here's
as soon as he came out with these stupid names, everybody, that's it. He was not going to get over. That's it.
No, Michael McGillicuddy was a stupid name. That was a ridiculous.
So was Curtis Axel. We were like this, really. We were like,
well,
fine, I guess.
Listen. Was it better than Michael McGillicuddy? Yes. But was it still great? No. But again, if you call him Joe Hennig, with all due respect, no.
What's the problem? That's his name.
Yeah, but
it's a cooler name than Curtis Axel. It doesn't like disrespect the fans and go, by the way, he's not related, even though we're gonna tell you he's related in 6 months. It's silly. It's stupid.
Listen. We've been at this for too long. We're talking in circles here. Let's move on.
All right, let's just go to Joe. Samoa Joe. Obviously, one of the very best talents of the last probably 15 years. This is as good as you're gonna get. And I don't know if he's injured. I don't know. But I'm just going to assume he's not. And this is all fantasy booking for me. Joe is 100% healthy in my mind, right?
Okay.
And he can do whatever the hell he wants. I'm going on the Samoa Joe Tour. And I'm going to every company. I'm going to go to New Japan. I'm going to do the G1. I'm going to do Wrestle Kingdom. I'm going to do Bound for Glory. I'm going to do Slammiversary. I'm going to do AEW's 4 pay-per-views. And I'm going to do Final Battle at Ring of Honor. I'm doing them all, and nobody can stop me because I'm Samoa freaking Joe. You're going to get the best of Samoa Joe. If it works out schedule-wise, I'm not joking. That's exactly what I would do. Similar to what Cody did when Cody worked Bound for Glory and he worked Final Battle and he was working Japan. I would try my best, and I don't think anyone would have a problem with it as long as the Japan one, I know travel is still annoying, but assuming they were able to send some people to Japan and back, what are these guys? Finn Juice?
Juice Robinson and David Finlay.
Yeah, Finlay and Juice Robinson came to the U.S. They filmed some TV. They went back home with the titles, and now they'll be back for the pay-per-view. So it can be done. And like I said, Joe just needs to make maybe 4 appearances at New Japan, right? Show up, get in somebody's face, work a big show, then maybe do it one more time. Same thing, rinse and repeat. Similar to Jericho. Take the same Jericho thing.
Yep.
Maximize his 4 or 5 appearances. Maybe do a promo, via whatever. Film a promo.
And Joe's got a fantastic promo, so that's not an issue. And
he also has a great demeanor for Japanese. And I think, I don't know, for me, I mean, I haven't seen everything New Japan has done. I'm sure he's probably done something in New Japan, but I don't know if he has. Maybe when he was in Impact, he got to work somebody in New Japan, but
I'm sure he has. I'm sure he has.
Yeah, but I don't know, and definitely the guys they have now, New Japan's top 5 or 6 guys, any of those matches with Joe would be phenomenal. And I just want to see him in that environment because I think it's such a cool environment. I want the Samoa Joe World Tour if his body, I don't know anything about his health. I don't know a thing. I know he got hurt a while back. He had some concussion issues. But if he wants, let's say, I have a feeling the reason he was released is because he wants to wrestle, and maybe WWE doesn't want him to wrestle. So I think that's the only reason you would release somebody like Samoa Joe. I could be wrong. I think Joe wants to wrestle, and I think they don't want him to wrestle. So I hope that's the reason they let him go, and I hope if he's healthy, he goes and does the Samoa Joe Tour. That's all I want.
Well, I mean, I will say, I've read those reports, but again, I don't have any way to substantiate them. But the reality is that a talent like Samoa Joe, when healthy and available, is an asset to any pro wrestling promotion anywhere in the world. And if WWE's had him for the last however many 4 or 5 years at this point, I don't see why the WWE would not continue to utilize Joe's services if he were healthy and can get in the ring. I kind of tend to believe your notion that the reason why is that Joe wanted to get back in the ring. WWE said, no, you're not medically cleared to do so. And what ends up happening is that, again, Joe was doing a fantastic job on commentary, but I don't know whether or not they're paying Samoa Joe a wrestler salary to be an announcer. I don't know if that's the case, but I was most surprised by Joe's release. And in all honesty, if he's healthy and he wants to wrestle, then your world tour idea is spot on. I don't think that Joe needs to land in any one promotion, and he doesn't need a home, for lack of a better term. He needs no home, because he's wrestled in Impact, he's wrestled in Ring of Honor, and yes, it's been, in the case of Ring of Honor, it's been decades, and Impact, half a decade, a little more than half a decade. I think he would be an asset in AEW, but it'll be an asset in AEW to where they need to use him sparingly. I think unfortunately, the more they would, if Joe was to hang out in AEW or in any promotion that for that matter, to make it his home base, the more we see him, the less effective it becomes. I like your idea of a world tour where he kind of comes in and out, works everywhere but lives nowhere. I think that would be that idea works best for him, because he's over, and a guy like Joe shows up anywhere, and pardon the pun, but he'll make an impact everywhere he goes. But he can't settle anywhere.
He's never worked New Japan.
Oh well, there you go. But what I'm saying is that he can't. If well, there you go. I'll make an amendment to my statement. If he wants to have a home, then New Japan will be his home. But realistically, I think that it would work best for him to work everywhere and live nowhere. Because the thing is, with a guy like him, the more, if he settles into any promotion, it doesn't matter, any promotion that he was to settle into, the more we see him, the less effective he'll be.
Yeah, I think he should go do exactly what Cody did. Pick the 20 guys he wants to work with, or 10 guys, the 10 best stories he can find. He's a smart dude, and he's very in tune with the world of wrestling in and out of the WWE. That dude knows what's up. He knows who's out there. Make a list. He doesn't have to present the list to us. It might be better not to present the list. Make it all surprise. Show up, get in people's faces, have these matches.
The only people he should show that list to are the guys he's going to be working with, not the fans.
Yeah.
And the fans,
and it's already been done, so it makes no sense. But yeah, it'll be effective. Joe showing up random places.
This is what Joe needs to take Jericho's gimmick. You just made the list.
But yeah, that's basically it. So hopefully everybody finds a home. Hopefully we get some exciting moments, some fun surprises, some interesting matchups we've never seen before. And I'm most excited to see IIconics. I really want to see that act, and I want to see them together, and I want to see them just kill it. Just kill it and have the crowd just eat everything they do up. I'm just so confident that they're going to do that.
It's weird to me because when I look at all the talents that WWE released, I think the ones that they're going to regret losing the most are going to be the IIconics. And I say this with all due respect. Samoa Joe's fantastic. Mickie James is fantastic. And some of the other talents that were released, they're at varying levels. But we already know. We know what we're going to get out of Mickie James. Mickie James is fantastic, but we know what we're going to get out of her. Samoa Joe is fantastic, and I think that Joe has one more big run left in him, and I'm hoping that he's healthy enough to get it done at this stage of his career. I think that with the IIconics, I think the WWE, they kind of scratched the surface a little bit. My belief is, and I say this with all due respect, I think that Billy Kay and Peyton Royce as a team, or if they're going to use their real names moving forward, because they can't use those names anymore. But I believe that if those two women can be able to get themselves over, like, as a team elsewhere, don't be surprised in a couple of years that they come back to the WWE. they can be the IIconics and reprise the names and all that, but now they have a completely they've learned a new hold. So for the next several years, they got a tremendous opportunity. I think that maybe the WWE, those are going to be the two that they might regret letting go the most, but I have a feeling that eventually they'll both be back. Several years, but they'll both be back.
All right, that's it.
All right, folks. So listen, on the Twitter machine, on the Instagram, the Wrestlebros, TheWrestleBros. We want to thank you guys for, continuing to look at the videos, for the subscriptions. The numbers are climbing every day, and we're incredibly grateful for what all of you guys are doing. Keep showing love. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your dog. For Vic, I'm Lou. Deuces.